Hi, I'm Jane Leach. I'm a chartered architect and I am here to take you through a process that I would go through if I was looking to buy a property. Now, a friend of mine is actually looking to buy a property and has asked me for some advice about, sent me some different possibilities of different houses that she was looking at. This is something that my friends do all the time. I get Rightmove links constantly. And so I wanted to go through a little bit of a process of what I look for when I am looking at a house as a potential to buy, what I'm looking for when I'm looking for the potential of that property. So let's get into it. So this is the kind of house that we're looking at, a 3-bedroom house in Harpenden. So that is the key thing, really. And this, let's have a little look at this house. So this house to me is a very small house for this amount of money. So 630,000 for a tiny kitchen and 1 reception. 3 bedrooms, but they're all very, very small bedrooms. This one in particular, this area here is so, it's actually part of the bedroom. Like this 4 meters front to back is the measurement. So it looks like, okay, 2.5 meters by 4 meters. That's not a bad size, but actually that measurement is from here, and all of that area is just corridor space, really. It's not really usable bedroom space. And so I don't know what this dimension is. I would want to know what that dimension is, but I assume it's something more like 2.5 by 2.5. So it's a very, very small bedroom. I would not class this personally as a 3-bedroom house. It's a 2-bedroom with a box room, in my opinion, or a home office. And this kitchen is really, it's adequate perhaps, but it's quite small. So I would not say that this is worth that money when looking at other property on the market in that area. And I wanted to have a quick look at difference in cost. So I noticed that the difference in cost between a 2-bedroom and a 3-bedroom in this area is around about £100,000 typically, and £100,000 paid off over 25 years with a mortgage interest rate of 4.5 when I've used this money saving expert calculator, and it's saying that you're going to be paying off 160 plus 100, so about £60,000 extra you're adding on to the cost for that 100,000 over the course of the time that you're buying it. So that would be something that I would question. Is it really worth paying that extra 100,000 to be ending up paying so much more? This property here is a much better property, I would say. It's quite awkward in some respects. So it's got a porch. You have to walk through the living room. The stairs are open to the dining room. It means the dining room is quite small because there's a lot of movement across. And if you'll find it useful to look at my how to create flow in your home video that explains how I think about flow and movement through and creating space that is more static or almost still, calm space compared to active movement space. That's an interesting one to read because to watch, sorry, a video to watch, because it goes through, it would talk through why this is a little bit awkward in terms of actually as a living room, your living room is smaller, the usable living room, because you've got all this movement through. I mean, you've got this double door, so it kind of creates a sort of an open plan concept, and here you could open this up a bit more and make that a bit more open plan. But I would say this kitchen is really, really awkward and quite badly designed. Really, I would rearrange this to make it better. personally. But in terms of the bedroom sizes, the overall size of this property is far, far better. It's not surprising because by the looks of it, if we look at the property in the photographs, it looks like it's a 1960s property. 1960s properties have much better space standards. Generally, they were built to a higher space standard, and they're quite easy to upgrade. So all of this behind here, there's, unless it's been already upgraded, there's probably not very much insulation in there, but removing that, putting insulation in, and then you could render that part, or, you know, put any sort of another kind of cladding, or repeat this kind of cladding if you like it. So that's possible to do, and upgrade the thermal performance of the property as well. You can see here, this is the front door, the porch and the front door, and that's kind of quite awkward. Yes, you can get that amount of sofas in there, but you can see, you know, well, these are toys, aren't they, rather than, but there's not much space there. You can see through the door. There's not a lot of space for coats and stuff like that. It's a little bit on the awkward side. And this kitchen looks quite nice. It looks big enough, but on plan, it doesn't look as good, I would say. It looks better in the photographs than it does on plan. This is obviously a wide angle lens, so it kind of distorts the images. Like, that door is not a normal realistic on this image, but it's a decent sized space, and these rooms look really good sized rooms, really good actually. Nice little garden, not huge, but it's nice. And I would say this property seems like a pretty decent property, but it's a lot of money, 625,000. Here we've got another 3-bedroom property, 615,000, so 10,000 less. But you can see the bedrooms, they seem quite small to me. I'm just curious to see how they compare to these. 3.4 by 3.2, 4.6 by 3.6, 2.5 by 3.8. So 3 by 3, 3 by 2.5. So the smaller bedroom here is actually bigger than the other one. So they're really okay sizes, comparable. This is a little narrower here, but it's a good length. So first floor is okay in comparison to the other one. And so in terms of the amount of space that you're getting for the money, 10,000 less, but more space. But then when you look on the ground floor, I mean, the other one had a small kitchen as well. So this isn't a great kitchen, I would say, but the other one was also not a great kitchen either. So that's not that different. The sitting dining room seems quite nice, and it's quite good to have this study at the back there. That could be handy. It could be a playroom or something else. And I'm guessing that's like an outside store. Entrance hall is a little on the awkward side, I would say. And, you know, there's not as good a communication. If you look at this one, you know, it's much more direct, the dining room to the kitchen. That's much better. Whereas here you've got a couple of doors to go through, going past the loo. It's not quite as nice really as the other one in some ways. But I mean, this looks like you can't really take that much from these drawings because they're not very accurately drawn generally, but it's strange that this is drawn as an internal wall, which I assume is a structural wall, and that kind of doesn't make sense. Really, that doesn't make sense at all. I don't know why that's drawn like that. I'm trying to see where that wall would line up over here, and it's somewhere in there. So it doesn't make sense that would be drawn as a structural wall. Maybe there. I'm not sure. I don't think that's necessarily a structural wall, and I think potentially this wall and this wall could come out and it could be made more open plan, and that might work better. I mean, I don't know why this is called a garage. I suppose that bit's a garage. Maybe originally the whole thing was a garage. It's not really now, is it? And in terms of then the photographs, this is a similar 1960s. This probably would need upgrading from an insulation perspective. But the size of this space is pretty decent, I would say. They're using that as a bedroom at the moment, but that seems a bit unusual. Quite like the tiles they've got, small. And then yeah, these are nice big windows, lots of natural light, decent sized garden, lots of light there. So that's really nice. And you can see here, so that's the kitchen through there. It does look like this. Maybe originally there was a chimney breast there or something, because it's 1960s. It could have had a chimney. I don't know. There's something odd there. I don't know what that is, but probably in that case, if that is drawn as a structural wall, it would probably cost several thousand to remove it rather than fairly minimal without it being structural wall. But in terms of the size, bedrooms, a decent size. Same sofas as the previous one. I think they must all shop at the same furniture shop in this area. And then the only other thing would be whether, you know, sometimes this kind of path to the side, it can be nice because you've got this side window as well. So you've got multiple sources of light to that bedroom, which is a really positive, or that's the bathroom. But sometimes a side access and, you know, this kind of pedestrian way can sometimes be a bit more vulnerable from a security point of view. Depends on the area whether that is something to be wary of or not. We look at this one. This is a similar price, 615,000. Now, there are some big no-nos from my point of view in this. So first of all, it's much smaller. All of these bedrooms are much smaller than the previous two. And that makes sense because this is a more modern construction. So it's not built to the same space standards as those 1960s ones. And so it's really awkward. Okay, yes, it does have an ensuite for this bedroom, but I mean, wow, like it's not such a big deal. Yeah, you've got a master bedroom with an ensuite, which is nice, but all of these bedrooms are really small. I don't know if it's really, I personally would say it's not worth it. And then the other really big no-no is there's a conservatory here and there is no external separating wall between what's inside and what's outside. This does not comply with building regulations. You cannot have no external separating wall between a conservatory and internal space, because conservatory is not internal space. Conservatory is sheltered external space. It should not have a heater in it. It's not habitable space. You can't consider it as part of your house. So this is really misleading and it shouldn't be shown as a room, and it's completely wrong to do this. And it will make your house significantly colder in the winter and potentially significantly hotter in the summer. It's not a good idea. And then the kitchen itself is small, very awkward. It's got like this huge utility space, which has obviously been taken out of the garage, and this tiny kitchen, and then a toilet in the kitchen. I just think this is really, really badly designed. And again, the access through, it's, you know, the whole the routes through are just, honestly, it's awful. This is such a badly designed house. I would never buy it. Even if it's a good location, I wouldn't buy this house. This one, let's see, the bedrooms are decent, quite decent sizes. Here the kitchen is very separated. So we're looking at 1960s here, and this kind of isolated kitchen going on. You could make changes to the garage, open it up, make this like a kitchen diner that you walk into. I have done a similar project on another similar age property, a smaller version. I'll try and link to that. If you look at, I can't remember, 1960s house that I've or it might have been 1970s actually, but it had a similar thing where it had a small kitchen to the front, a garage, and we made it all open plan, and you entered into the front. Really nice transformation. So you can do that, but it is quite a lot of work to do that. I won't look at the pictures on that. I just know that this arrangement is not suitable. Here we have one quite small bedroom. Again, not huge, and yeah, so 3 pretty small bedrooms. If you go back to these 4.6 by 3.6 is the bigger one, and 3.8 by 2.5 is the smallest one, and then here this 1970s one, 5 by 3, 3 by 3 almost. These ones much better sizes. This is, I suppose, 3 by 3, but this is 2.5 by 2, and this is still small, 3.5 by 3. Small bedrooms, I would say, very small bedrooms, but the porch, the hall, the actual movement through this space is way better. The kitchen is much better size, and you could easily make some kind of downstairs utility loo, open this up to make it more of an open plan kitchen diner, and you can make some like nice alterations to this to make it work even better. But better price. It's a smaller one, but you know, when you're considering like these ones, 625, 615, and this one is 585, so the price is way better. So when you're looking at that price coming down, obviously you need to look at the location of it, but then comparing the size to the price. The downstairs, I would say, is way better than some of the others, but upstairs it is on the small side. Then you're looking at some 2 beds. This is coming down in price, 575, and the floor plan, the original floor plan, is, I would say, here. This is the original external wall and then it's sort of been extended to the side and at the back, and then this is the first floor. I'm not sure what this studio is, if that's something outside, but this is just a 2 bed. So this is 2 bedrooms, and honestly, the construction that they've used, this is looks to me like a conservatory construction. I don't know if this is insulated or up to spec. If this construction is a conservatory construction, then this does not comply with building regulations. And so I personally would be wary about buying it because it looks cold. It looks like it would be really cold in winter and potentially overheating in summer, but it would depend on the spec on that. I would want to check that. I'd want to check the building regulations for this, but it's got no scope really at all to make this into a 3 bedroom, and that really makes it not practicable. You could potentially extend up, possibly, but from the photographs, I mean, it looks like somebody has next door and put, you know, there's some velluxes in there, but that's a very small height. I don't think there's much scope to to extend up and get an extra bedroom up there. So I would discount that in terms of looking for a 3-bed property. This is a really interesting floor plan with these unusual angles. I think this is quite good. You've got the circulation space, entrance, cloakroom, small loo, all off the entrance, and then you're into the reception. It's kind of open plan. You can make this even more open plan by opening up this kitchen a bit more. And I think that the relationships between these spaces work quite well. The bedrooms, the sizes are pretty good. Yeah, I mean, this one, I would say this is quite a good option, and 550,000. I don't know in terms of the location of this because I don't know Harpenden very well, but 550,000 to me, for when compared to some of the other 3 bedrooms, seems pretty good. And the overall area, this is something that we don't often see in the UK, is actually the overall internal area. And I think that that's something worth considering. Is you want to buy, you want to pay as little as possible for as much as possible. That's the way I would approach it, because the more space that you've got that's built already, then the more you can do with that, the more scope you've got, and more you can rearrange things and make things work better for you. So I would say this looks like a fairly decent option. This is a 2-bed. Now we're dropping quite a lot more, 475. So that's a significant drop, like over 100,000 from some of those higher prices that we were looking at before. And in terms of the space, is quite long, but it's quite a decent size. You've got a little porch. Yes, your flow through this, there's quite a lot of circulation really, because it's a long deep space, but it's a, you know, galley kitchen is small, but it's compact, small compact galley kitchen. They can work really well. The problem with this is that it's only a 2-bed. However, they're reasonable sizes, and potentially it wouldn't take too much to put a partition here, make this into a corridor, add a stair, and it looks like there's enough height in that loft to be able to convert the loft and create another bedroom at the first floor. The only problem with it is that the bedroom would be coming up in the middle of the floor plan. And so the head height is at the top. You'd be coming up over here, and that might limit where you can actually put a bed. That might be a bit of a downside. But if you could extend with a flat roof dormer to the back, you could possibly create a decent size 3-bed out of this. And for 475 compared to the price of the others, that seems like not bad to me. Here's another picture of the same house basically. This one is too small. Overall, it's pretty small really. Total floor area 56.9 square meters is too small for a 3-bed, so that can be discounted. Here again, very small 2-bed, decent size, ground floor. Kind of odd. I don't understand this kitchen layout. It's so long and stretched out. I would personally put an island unit, all this stuff over here as an island unit, and then make that more, you know, more living space. I don't know. I think that's a really odd, long stretched out. And then this step, there's some really odd things about this house that could definitely be improved. It looks very nice. The style of it is lovely. But I personally would have all of this, like sink and everything, I would have that over here so that you're walking in past the sink, and then that at the back can become, you know, everything's squashed to the side because you've got this section over here, whereas you could have a more of a central dining, and it could be a lot more comfortably arranged. So the floor plan of that is not great, and overall it's 62 square foot, so it's not too bad. In terms of the height here, somebody else has got a Velux window in there, but to me, I mean, it's hard to tell because the angle of this, but that doesn't look like there's enough head height in that loft space to be able to convert that to a you know, to do a loft conversion and make it a 3-bed. So I think I would discount that one. Looks quite nice, but yeah, to make that a 3-bed, you would have to take off a significant amount of this front bedroom to be able to put a staircase in to go up. And so this bedroom already is small, this already is small, so taking more off it means you've got like 2 very small bedrooms. I don't think this would work very well. This one, so here, this bedroom is okay. This bedroom is also okay. Potentially you could split these to make 3 bedrooms, then that would become the largest bedroom and you'd have 2 smaller bedrooms. But I think that the 2 smaller bedrooms would be just too small, and it's 60 square meters. I think overall it's too small. I mean, it's quite a decent layout on the ground floor, but it's too small to be made easily into a 2-bedroom. And the other thing I would personally be looking at from this point is that this house here has a lot of windows to the side, and I would just feel like this my entrance space was quite overlooked by my neighbors. And I mean, great if they're lovely neighbors, but could also be problematic potentially. And then here we're looking at a 44 square meters. So this is tiny, very small bedrooms. I think this is one just to be completely discounted straight away. There's really no scope here to make this much bigger. You couldn't increase the size of this. You'd take up way too much of this bedroom to be able to make that, to make a loft extension, to convert the loft. And from the photographs, it's hard to say. Obviously, if it's that house, then there's a huge amount of space up there that you could use. But if it's this one, then there isn't, and I don't know which house it is. So I'm assuming it's actually this house, not this one. And if it's this house, it looks maybe like there's not enough loft space for anything to be done with that. I thought this was an interesting one to look at because this is 800,000. And if you compare it to some of the houses that we looked at earlier, which haven't perhaps had the same sort of level of renovation work done to them, that's one I would discount it. But these and this one, so this one, this one, and this one are all of the similar sort of period to that house, but the 800,000 compared to 625, I think was the top one. So if you think you could add potentially 200,000 value onto those other properties with some renovation work, that is quite an interesting prospect. And the house, this house, it's 4 bedrooms, so obviously that extra bedroom makes a big difference. But the size of the spaces, I mean, who does things only in feet and inches? Like, I don't think in feet and inches. I only think in meters. So it's, I mean, they've got some meters here, but almost everything is in feet and inches. I don't understand why. That's bizarre. 117 square meters. So you think about the overall size, 117 square meters, and this is 101. So they're only a little bit bigger actually, and potentially it may be possible to do something where you could actually have like a bathroom in here and make that into a small office or something like that. Or, you know, there's things that could be done to this ground floor to improve it as well. I can't remember this one. This one was a slightly weird one, but there's potentially scope to convert the loft in that one somehow. The way that this staircase works, you could easily carry on up. You know, you could easily put in a new staircase that takes you up and could do a loft conversion and make this a 4-bed. So that would be another option. So I just thought that was a really interesting that sort of difference, nearly £200,000 difference just because of one bedroom and some renovation. That's really interesting to me. This is 595. I don't know if I've looked at this one, if this is the same. I think I've looked at this one before. Is that the same as one of those? Yeah, this one. I've looked at that one. Here, this is a 3-bed, but this bedroom is so small. So small. And I also feel like this bedroom is really small as well. So this one is okay. It's a bit on the small side, to be honest. Like, realistically, to fit a double bed in any of these rooms, you could fit one in this one, but there would not be a lot of movement around it. And these are definitely, I don't think you could just about fit a double bed in here, but again, the movement around that space would be quite tricky. So not brilliant, really. 84 square meters and 525. I don't know. I think the other ones are better. The other properties that we looked at before. This is interesting because this, just for comparison, I thought it was interesting to look at a flat. So this is a 2-bedroom flat, 290,000, and I was thinking, I wonder you could actually do something with this, but actually it wouldn't be that easy. And there's no sizes on any of these, so it's hard to know what the sizes are. You can make alterations to a flat, and if these are partition walls and they're quite easy to move, and if you've got a kitchen that's just, for example, if you put the kitchen in over here, made this a big open plan kitchen diner, and then made this a bedroom and put a bedroom that used this window and another bedroom that used that window. You could have a 3-bedroom. You could make this into a 3-bedroom flat with a really large kitchen diner lounge. That could work quite well, potentially. But it is a bit trickier with flats. It's not always as easy to do. But to put a kitchen in along here where you've got the drainage from a kitchen sink, and if you weren't putting gas in and it was all electric, it would be fairly easy to do that, and then reuse the space in a different way. Something like that could be interesting. Given the price of it, 290,000 is so much less. But with there being no information at all about the sizes of any of these spaces, it's really hard to say what kind of space you could do. So that was it. I hope that was of some interest, the kind of thought processes that I go through when I'm looking at property in an area. You know, where are you going to get the best bang for your buck, if you like? How could you, what possibilities are there? What potential is there for increasing the value of your property? What could you do? And how could you buy the lowest price property and make it right for you in a cost-effective way? These are the sorts of things that I think through. I hope that I've managed to get across the sorts of thought processes that are going on in my mind as I'm looking at these different properties. I try to speak it out loud. If you have any questions or if you have any comments about any of these properties, I hope that if one of those properties is yours, I hope I've not offended you if I've criticised the property itself. I don't mean to offend anybody. But looking, everybody has different preferences in terms of aesthetics. That's, totally, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say. It's not really an objective thing. So I have my own viewpoint on aesthetics, which may be very different to yours. But then in terms of the location is a different question. I don't know Harpenden, this particular area that I'm looking at here, at all. So I've no idea what makes a good property in terms of location. So that is something that you also, and I would take into account. And if I don't know an area and I'm looking at property within an area, then I would do a very careful study of the location to consider different things like where the schools are, where shops are, where the facilities, like I might want like a gym or a swimming pool or parks, different things like that, different features, libraries, all those sorts of facilities that you may particularly want to have access to, as well as transport connections. I would take all of those things into consideration from a location point of view. In this process, I've kind of ignored location to a large extent because I don't know that much about this location, but also I thought it was more interesting to look at these specifics about the houses, certain things that I would avoid completely, like the conservatory where it's completely open to the inside. There's no separating external door. That just does not comply with building control. That's not legal. And I see it all the time. I see properties like that all the time. And I don't know why conveyancing solicitors never seem to pick that up. They ought to. It's really a problem. And it's really uncomfortable to live in a house like that. But in terms of the design of the layout, that is something that I think I have a view on layouts and an understanding of layouts because I work with floor plans all day, every day. That's what I know. But I think maybe a little bit different. And I hope that my talking through the differences in layouts and what I'm looking for and the type of sizes, the kind of routes through the space, those are all the sorts of things that I think are really crucial to knowing if that property is actually going to work comfortably or not. And so many homeowners move into homes thinking, it might be beautifully decorated and look great, but then if you move in and okay, aesthetically it's really pleasing to you and you fall in love with it because it looks great, but you haven't perhaps fully understood how that layout is going to work for you in your day-to-day life, and then you move in and it doesn't work because the layout is rubbish even though it looks beautiful. To me it's like decorating a turd, like you need to get the layout right. If you've got a really good layout, then decorating it is also easier. But it's if you could make something, you can make it look beautiful even if the layout is pretty rubbish, and that can be very what's the word? It can be very not confusing, but I don't know what the word is. It can really stop you from seeing the truth of it. And it's like when you go to buy a winter coat, you probably spend more time, or a new outfit for a wedding or something, a fancy party. You probably spend more time trying those different clothes on in the changing rooms than you have time to look around and sit down in different locations and see what the space is really going to be like to live in. You have like 20 minutes on a house estate agent's visit. It's not a long time. And so if you don't have much time to try it out and you don't have this understanding of floor plans, it's very easy to end up buying something that you then later find doesn't really work that well for you. So that's why I hope that this video has helped you to sort of look at the floor plans a little bit differently and understand a little bit better how that might work and what potential there could be in a floor plan to make changes as well. That's it for now. Bye for now.